This is when I do my tennis card thing. The hour of 6 o'clock having arrived, we'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to order. First on the agenda is we want to recognize that it is Indigenous Peoples Day. And that being the case, and perhaps going forward, we want to just acknowledge that we are sitting in this moment at 53 West South Street on unceded territory from the Susquehanna tribe nation. So we just want to acknowledge that. And then also that 750 Indigenous women and girls have disappeared from the same spot as Gabby Pietto. And we have not known their names, we have not seen their faces. And that indicates that there is work to be done, that there is work to do, and we are here to do that work. So co-chair Callahan and I and the commission decided that since there is work to do, we would do that work. Commissioner Callahan, did you want to add anything?
I think that was a beautiful introduction. I will only add that part of our work will be possibly envisioning how this day might look different in 2022.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and check in with folks down at Kendall's End if you want to go ahead and just give your name. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantabulous.
Andrew Razanoskis. I'm fine.
Tristan Milazzo, I'm good.
Tawanda Stallworth, outstanding.
Emily Callahan, present.
Ralph Donaldson, and a little bit better than present.
Doreen Will, here. So you get.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item of business is approval of the minutes from our September 13th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes in our meeting packet? And if so, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I will so move.
Seconded.
Excellent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our minutes are approved. The next items on our agenda are discussion items. We are going to have each of our newly formed working groups report out. And it looks like the research group is first. And so I will kind of give a summary of what we discussed during our meeting. And perhaps after that summary, we can pause and answer questions and have some discussion. We got together and did some visioning and talked about what our work might look like moving forward and how it might intersect with the work of the other working group and the committee as a whole. And we developed a to-do list. Probably the most important item on that to-do list is we all thought that we could benefit from reverse engineering an outline of the final report. So we know that at the end of all of this, we have to submit a report with recommendations to the Borough Council. And we thought it might add a bit of structure to our endeavors if we kind of had a brief outline of what that looks like moving forward. That doesn't mean it's set in stone, and we can adjust it, of course. But we'll begin working on something like that we hope to share with the rest of the commission. We also talked about drafting the RFP for the data scientists that we hope to hire, including really drilling down and discussing the scope of work for that person. We have some data, as we all know. There's some data outstanding that we might like to collect. And so as we write up that proposal, we want to get clearer on what it is we're asking for. We discussed the relationship between the two working groups regarding the invitation of guests to participate in community events and to attend meetings for the purpose of providing some education and resources for the commission. And a question was raised about kind of where that work should go. So should we select some folks that we would like to have come to town, and then the community engagement group picks up the ball and sets up the the meeting or the event. So we are looking forward to talking more about what that might look like as we develop some programming for the year. We also talked about our individual passion projects and some of the things that drew us to this committee and how those individual passions might help us to discern which issues we will focus the most on, because unfortunately I think we are going to have to make some choices about where we dedicate our time. And then we talked about the process for setting up meetings with individuals in the community from whom we'd like to collect more information and how that should look. Working group mates, anything you'd like to add to our discussion?
I think you captured just about everything excellently, as usual.
Thank you.
Open for discussion.
Yeah, open for discussion.
So I had a thought about this, and I'm hoping the rest of the commission can weigh in on it. But as we're as you're thinking about reverse engineering of that final project or that final report, part of what we're tasked to do is, of course, to give recommendations on policy. But I have the thought that, council is still working now. So there are ordinances, policies, legislation, all of those things that they're talking about and working through. The CREST being one of those, right? So then they kick that to us. Hey, what do you guys think? But I'm wondering if there are, I'm inclined to think that there are other items that they're discussing that might not be on our radar unless council tells us about it. Is there a way that, so first of all, should we be actively involved in current discussions around policy? What might that look like? And so should we, and if we should, what might it look like? Just my thoughts.
I see the value of us being involved with current conversations, very much so. However, I do worry that if the commission becomes a body that's trying to keep up with each current thing that happens, that we might lose track of our mission statement and our mission plan. And so that's my worry is I think that we might start trying to put out fires as opposed to trying to build something, which I take it as our larger mission. So I'm disinclined to be involved regularly, besides what we are actually asked to do explicitly.
What do others think?
I agree with Raph.
Yeah, I would agree as well. With maybe the condition that, on a case by case basis, if there's something really pressing that warrants our attention, we can at least bring it to this committee.
I agree with that. I was about to say that. Look at each case. And I think for the most part, most of us will, ask that our input be on hold. But if something does arise that really, really warrants our attention, that we go for that.
And one thing that we can do, I frankly have been doing it for the past couple of years, is going out and looking at the agendas. They post the agendas for council planning meetings, for borough meetings, and I regularly go through every month and review those to see, should I show up for one of these meetings based on what I read there? So there's nothing to certainly stop us from looking at that. And if we see an item that warrants or piques our curiosity relative to the charge, then show up and engage.
Can I just clarify what you're saying? Show up and engage, or bring it to the commission for us to have some dialogue about it as a commission? The reason, and I don't want to sound too split hairy, right? But there have been some recent conversations around rental ordinances and around decriminalizing cannabis. And that, and among others, I think we can always find a structural element of how race plays a factor into these things, especially for the work that we are doing. So my thought is, and the reason that I'm bringing it up now for the research working group is that maybe a function of the research working group that they check the agendas monthly, or they check the workshop meeting agendas on a monthly basis, just to keep the commission aware of what might be going on, what's something that might need our attention, something that they could benefit from us weighing in on. I don't want to just put it entirely at council's feet and saying, hey, if you need us, you can reach out to us. If you all think that there's something that needs, our eyes, but is there a way that we can do that as well for things that maybe aren't on their radar, or something that they maybe didn't think there may be a racial implication?
I think we can keep a running list of all of the matters that come before us and deserve attention. And one unit that we might have in our final report is here's a pattern we noticed. We weren't able to address this issue, but our recommendation is that some more permanent group be formed to deal with this question that we weren't able to address as a group. It may be the case as we intake things from the agendas and that are referred to us, they fit really nicely with things we've already decided we'd like to research, in which case I think we'll just take them up and fold them into the work we're already doing. But I think it's a good idea to have a place to put the many things that will come before us that we won't have the time and person power to deal with. And we can just make that an addendum to the report or make it a part of the report. And that could be a kind of compromise between not take it on and take on everything.
I like that idea.
Likewise.
Yeah, I think that's a fair compromise.
Anything else for the community engagement working group? Oh, sorry, research. That's the group we're on. We're doing research, not community engagement. I'm eager to have the community engagement group talk, I guess. Anything else for research group?
Might it be helpful to begin that conversation that was mentioned about whether it's a good strategy for the invitation of guests that, or certain kinds of guests, I should say, that the research working group kind of research, figure out who appropriate guests are to invite, and then to kick that to community engagement to actually plan the event. Does that seem like a good strategy? Do people like that? Is there some other way that we should proceed?
I like that. The only offer that I would say is that community engagement may also have speakers in mind, that we would still plan the event but get buy-in, I guess, also from you folks.
And I would say if any one of us suggests a speaker and you have a personal connection to that person, no matter which committee or subgroup you're working with, I think we could certainly use and would love your assistance with that.
Excellent. I think we're ready to move on to item B, community engagement working group.
So I can speak to that if that's okay with the subcommittee members. So we met last week, and some really good dialogue. And just for what it's worth, if you want to track with us, in that meeting packet, in that shared drive, we do have a document in the community engagement working group folder. There's a lot of good conversation, but two main things that came out that we wanted to bring before this body. The first, and guys, please correct me where I'm getting this wrong. The first was the upcoming Community Day, and Commissioner Stallworth, I believe, has some is going to have a presence there. We were asking the question of, do we recognize her as a commissioner or just as Ms. Stallworth? And I think that press release has already been sent, but we did discuss, do we want to have representation at this community day? And Tawanda, I would let you speak more on the community day itself if you have.
Thank you. So part of what Commissioner Razanauskas is referring to is the press release that went out. And in the press release, I had and I think this is sort of like an ongoing conversation that we've had. So in the press release, I helped to organize the event. And in the press release, um, it was asked if my title of co-chair of this commission should be a part of that, a part of my title in that role. And I was not comfortable with that without having a conversation with the commission that this was something that the commission wanted to do. Before taking it here tonight, talked to community engagement about it. Opted not to involve my position with TRC as a part of that event. And I think that's a conversation that we have from time to time. And then how does that work as far as work that we do in the community and how we identify ourselves, apart from being representatives of a larger group? I think it's a conversation that we've had and probably need to keep having so that we're all sort of playing from the same sheet of music. And then the community day is scheduled for Saturday at Memorial Park from 12 to 5. Saturday is the 16th. And if we would like to have a presence there, we can have a table there, much like we did for, that was Unity Day too. So if we wanted to do that, that's available.
And just the other main talking point from that came out of this group we wanted to bring before the body. Some brainstorming. We got to this idea of maybe a semi-monthly or a twice a month, maybe even over Zoom, but different days devoted to different topics. And what we got down to was having one day devoted to having a speaker of some sort, and one day devoted to listening. So one day each month where we'd have it a little more scripted or scheduled and bring somebody in, and then another day where it would be more just inviting the community to share, and we would be just primarily listening. And just one of the thoughts that came out of that initially for potential speakers is Mr. Turner, who has shared with us on a couple of occasions that it could be a really cool opportunity, and we know that's somebody who brings a lot of passion into this. So just one example and something that we probably need to flesh out a little bit more, but wanted to bring to the body for comment.
Is now an appropriate time, perhaps, to ask about the community day? I just want to know, since it was put up for suggestion, whether this should be something that we kind of do collectively. I was just wondering, can you just want to tell us some more about it, those of us who are unaware?
Sure. So I was approached by 2 women who are small business owners and are looking to provide opportunities for minority-owned businesses. So they organized they call them community pop-ups. So it's a festival with a lot of vendors selling their wares. And they held the first one in August at Maslin Field, which is over by the fairgrounds. And this time wanted to bring it back to the neighborhood. So the same concept. So there'll be a lot of most of the businesses that will be represented that day are minority-owned businesses, and the street will be blocked off. There'll be pumpkin patches and pumpkin painting for some kids, and a DJ, and lots of really good food. Dough and Arrows is going to be there.
Sounds lovely.
So Power, the organization that I work for, will also be there, registering some folks to vote. Voter registration deadline is October 18th.
I think it's a matter of public record that you're a commissioner and the co-chair. I think where things can get a bit confusing is in the event that you're asked to represent a position of the whole commission. But I personally trust you to be able to draw a line in real time between your own opinions and the opinions of the commission as a whole. So I don't myself have a problem with you being listed as the co-chair of the commission. You are, and anybody who goes on the borough website knows that. And I'm not concerned that you're going to ascribe to us a position that we don't hold.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think, as Emily perfectly said, it is a matter of public record that each of us are commissioners, and so I think it's fine. I think the line is just representing that something is the view of the group. That would probably be inappropriate, but that you are taking part in something is fine. Yeah.
Thank you, both men.
And maybe just one other quick question for the group would be: if we are to have a presence, would it be in that, like, a very similar capacity to the Unity Day from a couple months ago?
I know that I will not be able to make it, but I am happy to put the shiny silver box of in anyone's hands who wants to use it. But I will not be able to attend, unfortunately.
Candy as well.
I can't promise there's too much Laffy Taffy left.
If I may ask, how much feedback did we get from the last activity, for lack of a better word?
I don't think it hurts to have some mechanism there to collect feedback, but there was not a lot of feedback.
I'm sorry. I'm obviously going to be there. I don't know how much time or attention I'd be able to give to our table because I'm already committed. And if we can't, we can't.
What is the time frame that we're talking about to kind of have a better idea about what the commitment might be?
It's noon to 5.
I can probably be there from about noon until 2. I have some other commitments, but I can squeeze in 2 hours.
I can also attend. I can be there from the 2 to 5 time slot.
I can possibly be there for some amount of time. I don't know what my agenda looks like, but I possibly could as well. And I could contribute candy.
If it's not possible for us to set up a table, I think there's value in attending, asking questions, identifying community partners with whom we might work.
Yeah, I think at the last event, Hope Station provided the tables, so they would not be providing tables for this event.
If you really, if there's a desire to table, I do have some tables that I can provide to anyone who wanted to pick them up from my house.
I guess I'm just wondering, like, at the Unity Day event, we weren't misplaced. I mean, having tables was commonplace. Would that be similar? The dynamic of like having a station there.
Yeah, so the vendors are bringing their own tables.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question. Would we be unique in that we are not vendors at this event?
Yes. So besides Power, who's doing voter registration, us, and Sadler's doing COVID vaccinations.
So I have an interesting question. Hopefully, we have a lot of voters out on Election Day. That's a day in which many people are thinking about issues that concern them, issues that concern the community. Is it even permissible for us? And of course, it would have to probably be after work hours to possibly have a couple tables or even pamphlets or something on those days when people are truly thinking about issues that affect them rather than just having like an arbitrary table here at this festival, etc. And I know that's a big ask because there are many different polls, but I'm just trying to think of what the best venue would be for us to showcase or to explain who we are and what it is that we do. Just a thought.
I like the way you're thinking.
Another just comment in this direction of my constant worry about doing too many things. We actually are planning events that will be completely about what it is that we do. And so I do wonder, since we have events that we have even yet to plan, should we be spending, more kind of time, resources, personal energies on showing up to other events where it's not as obvious that we have a place when we have like a schedule of events to plan.
I hear that, but then I also think that one of the reasons that community engagement was a priority for us was that not everybody is going to come to you, and that sometimes you're going to have to go to where people are to have conversations. So that I think that's maybe just the inverse.
I think we're more at the information collection than information sharing stage still, unfortunately. And it almost seems like the better thing to do is that for those who are there, if we had t-shirts or name tags that say who we are so that we can approach potential community partners and learn more about what they're doing and how we might resource share. And that would be less labor intensive and a kind of way to participate fully without much advance commitment.
That's a comment I was about to make. As somebody who is often, supposed to be at certain events and visible at things, it really is. It does more than you might think to just say, oh, hey, they're on the commission. They just came by and are supporting the event. That is meaningful to people as long as you're visible. So maybe you don't have to get a table, stay for 2 or 4 hours. But just if you're like, I have 20 minutes, I'll stop by, chat with some people, buy a couple things. Maybe you get lunch there, maybe you get an early dinner there. Any of these events that they come up, whether they're in line with our mission or not, it is good to be visible and an aspect of the community. And I can guarantee you people will take notice and realize that you are at these events. So if there's things we can't do a tabling at, or maybe don't have the time or resources for, just popping down and showing your face is, a pretty big message to people.
I like the idea of name tags and or polo shirts. I like it so much that I'll entertain a motion for me to ask Susan about what that might look like for us to have name tags and or polo shirts so that we could engage with the community in that way. Is there a motion?
I'll move to do that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.
All those opposed? Guys have it. I'll go ahead and get in touch with Susan about that. Thank you.
Anything else for the Community Engagement Working Group? Okay. Next up, just a brief report on the replacement commissioner progress. Sadly, this is Kendall Isaac's last meeting. We're very sad to lose him, but very happy for his opportunities. Tawanda and I are going to be participating in some Zoom interviews of replacement candidates tomorrow. So I'm hopeful that the process will move quickly, and by the next meeting of the TRC, we will have a replacement for our dear Kendall. Any questions about how that process is going?
Yeah. Are you able to offer kind of general things like how many applicants, that sort of thing? How many people are being interviewed? What's the timeline?
Going to invite Deputy Mayor Schultz forward to give us an update on that.
We have two applicants, and the interviews will take place tomorrow evening. The plan would be the interview committee will consist of the two commissioners, myself, council member Stubbe wanted to be part of that, but does not believe he'll be able to make it tomorrow, but asked us to proceed. My hope is that after the interviews tomorrow night, we'll be able to discuss the two applicants and come to a recommendation, and then get that on council's agenda for Thursday, and you'll have your appointed commissioner this Thursday.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
You're welcome.
I'll also add that there really cannot be a replacement for Kendall. He's been such an integral part, especially, like I said, with the bylaws early in the beginning, and just all that you've given to this group in a short period of time just can't be overstated. So just certainly thank you. And I'd like to open it up and see if you have any words that you'd like to say to us, or anything that you want to get in the record. This is your last opportunity ever.
Nothing specifically. And as I mentioned when we first brought it up, I mean, I'm certainly sad to leave this group because I had a lot of interest and wanted to see it through. But as I've learned along the way, sometimes plans have plans of their own, and I am very certain that you will continue in positive stead. You'll get a good replacement, and the end product will be well worth the hard work that you're putting in. And I will absolutely be paying attention and looking forward to seeing the end result. Godspeed.
Thanks, Kendall.
Okay, I think we're ready for new business, if there is any. Is there anything that any commissioner would like to bring forward for the consideration of the group?
One thing I will bring up after I said we don't really have to be at events. Let me check the date because I have already forgotten. In November on the 18th, I don't think we've set a time yet, but CCHS and WITF are teaming up with, I believe, also Dickinson College to hold a film screening at the Carlisle Theater on Home from School, the Children of Carlisle, on the Carlisle Indian Industrial School. More information will be forthcoming about that, but if you want to mark your calendars for that afternoon. We had talked about having a panel discussion beforehand, and I had also brought up that I think it would be worthwhile to have the any commissioners or Truth and Reconciliation commissioners that can be there to kind of insert themselves into the Q&A after. We're planning for about a 45-minute panel with 15 minutes of Q&A. to maybe discuss where we're planning to go or could be going, or what this could mean for the commission, if it comes up in that way. But just to keep everybody aware of that. And like I said, we don't have to have a table at that event, but it would be good if a few of us, I will be there in a few different capacities, but if you could even come and just be in the audience and be visible at an event like that, that I think would be meaningful for our work and just for the community to see as well.
Thank you. Anyone else?
With some regret, I am announcing that I will resign from the commission. Not effective immediately. Effective May 31st. So I've informed some members of the commission and some members of council already that I will be leaving in order to take a job in Chicago, starting in the summer. So I will be leaving, and but I will be continuing to do the work of the commission for the next several months. But just thought I would let everyone know at this stage.
Anybody else want to resign?
Don't you dare. Oh, huge congratulations. We are very sad to hear that. Such mixed emotions. Any other new business? No resignations. With that, I think that we are ready to move on to public comment. So is there anyone here physically or virtually who would like to address the commission? We ask that you keep your comments to 3 to 5 minutes. Introduce yourself and let us know where you live.
I wasn't planning to address the commission, but I apparently can't attend a meeting without talking, so I'd just like to apologize in advance. My name is Emily Pauley. I've been in communication with the commission a little bit. I'm a historian at Dickinson College. And hi, Kendall. And hi, Tristan. I just wanted to say, as the research groups, working groups work is ongoing, I'm spending 50% of my sabbatical working on a project on the history of segregation in Carlisle. And at the moment, I'm sort of pursuing my own interests and I'm planning some public maps that are going to be visible online, and But it occurred to me that perhaps the research working group might have questions that, if I pursued them, it would be useful. And I am spending a bunch of hours a week doing this anyway. So if you have any questions, historical questions that come up, I just wanted to make sure you know that I'm kind of out there, and the more useful this research can be, the better that would be, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take you up on it. Good luck with the research. Do we have anyone on the Zoom?
Nobody had their hand raised.
Okay. I think that takes us to announcements and future meeting schedule. Tawanda, I have you on that since I seem to get all the dates wrong.
So
I guess our next meeting date is Monday, November 8th at 6 p.m. right here at Borough Hall. Is that what I was supposed to do?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Does that sound right to everyone?
That's right.
We had, okay, excellent. Thank you, Stephanie. And then between this meeting and the next, we'll plan on the two working groups will meet, and you all can expect a similar structure at future meetings where the working groups will report out. Anyone have any announcements or other things you'd like to share for the good of the order before we get to adjournment?
I just want to speak to Commissioner Donaldson's announcement a bit ago about his resignation, and just in similar fashion to Kendall, you're irreplaceable. I think this group came together quickly and united behind a mission, so you're going to be a missing chunk to that puzzle, and certainly appreciate all that you've done for the commission, with the commission, and wish you the very best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.